GoRuck is a company founded by former U.S. Army Special Forces guys. And I put together a team called Team Fishin, and we're doing a 50-mile Go Ruck in DC in May. I have about 11 guys and a gal part of the team. And it's you have to do 50 miles in 20 hours. You start at 9 p.m. and you got your
Oh
rock
my
king to
God.
wait and back.
All right. So is this something you do all the time, like physical challenges? Is this something that I'm supposed to be doing also?
I don't know. I don't know if that's supposed to be doing, but if you're called to challenge yourself physically, because what I found, and the answer is yes for me.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily universal for every human being out there, but I when I work with clients, and especially myself, I find physical challenges are not just challenges physically, although they are, but they're mental, emotional challenges as well.
Yeah.
And they allow
Yeah.
you to kind of see your own limitations, like where your mindset is and how you deal with your own emotions. And that gives you good for the military industry growth and development. It's like, oh, here's my baseline. Here's myself bitching to myself, I need to quit, whatever the
Mhm.
internal conversation, and then emotions behind it. Like, okay, how do I learn how to manage that and manage my nervous system so I can push you to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. So for me, it's like push you through to the next level. I don't know what the next level is, so I know my level is presently,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the glory.
You're really reinforcing your discipline as well in that case.
And I think I love biohacking. But I
Mhm.
Yeah.
must say, like, I think it's so important for people to have disciplines and to be disciplined
Yeah.
because it's daily 100% growth every day that really leads to growth. Not like I can biohack and also not, my life has shifted. And there are tools that can be really helpful for an immediate shift. And we can talk about those too. But ultimately, I think the disciplines, whether it's meditation or prayer or physical training or whatever your things are, do them
Mm.
daily for sure.
Yeah. That's so true. Um, Ali, and you, what do you think about biohacking?
I like it. Let's talk about immediate
Yeah.
shifts. I want to know the secrets.
Well, so one of the things I studied over the last, I'm licensed as a marriage and family therapist. In the 90s, my graduate degree was in transpersonal counseling psychology. So in
Mhm.
transpersonal psychology, we study all the various other schools of psychology, but we also study in all the religious systems, there are spiritual practices intended to change consciousness, open the
Mhm.
heart, free the body, expand the mind, things like that. In some historical practices within spiritual systems, sacred medicine is one thing that's used. Sacred medicine being ayahuasca or
Mhm.
psilocybin or various,
Mhm.
and then more recently, since 1950s, LSD, synthetic psilocybin, ketamine is now more popular. And I don't mean recreational. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah. Of course.
recreational. And I'm not promoting illegal drug use. I don't know where you're at, so don't just do things illegally. But there's growing research that I've been tracking for over 30 years now, on the benefits for some people in some conditions with the right set and setting and the right guide to use sacred medicines for these shifts that you asked about.
Yeah.
So sometimes the shifts are immediate, like, oh my God, I've shifted my way of being in the world,
Mhm.
and whatever was holding me down is gone. And then sometimes it's like a slight shift, and I still have to do all the work, continue to shift.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a panacea, but it definitely can for some at sometimes open the shifting possibilities.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
one.
on the point of like having these shifts and changes, so when you're dabbling uh, with ayahuasca or other types of psychedelics, we've talked about on the podcast before, like how it just opens up your mind and your thoughts to it kind of like opens doors for you. And I was wondering also, like, obviously the main talk about it is how it helps with dealing with trauma and PTSD and other mental illnesses that are like, afflicting people. But can it also be used for maybe just, let's say, someone like a writer is having a writer's block and he's running out of ideas? If he or she is kind of like channeling their thoughts before doing any psychedelics, they're channeling their thoughts like this is what I want to learn or what doors I want to open before trying any of these things out. Does it help? Does it promote any new ideas?
Okay, so I'll point to two interesting things to answer that question. In the 1950s, I think it was, maybe early 60s, the Stanford Research Institute, Stanford,
Mm.
California University, actually was giving LSD as an example to their engineers. There's a program there to help them kind of break through their limited thoughts and see the world slightly differently. And I
Oh
would
wow.
suggest that the whole information technology infrastructure that we now have was early created by some of these same people who were tripping. Like, they whatever medicines they're using, or even meditation, various practices that were popular in the 60s and 70s. But like, if you go and hear some of these guys' stories who created whatever they created, a lot of them are tripping. Like, they're using acid that kind of open their minds to see things differently. And then, then you
Mm.
have to do the work of creating something. So that's one example of the medicine could be used in a very structured way, with right setting,
Yeah.
and guide to open up creativity. And
Yeah.
there was an article 2 or 3 years ago in Wired magazine, and I wish I could remember the name of the article and the person they're referencing, but there was a colonel in the Marine Corps. He's an intelligence officer. And I
Mm.
was surprised he was actually recommending that. I think he was still in the service, but he's like, LSD would be really good for intelligence analysts to start
Oh
seeing the
wow.
connections between different things that they might not see under normal
Wow.
consciousness. That's kind of trippy.
Whoa. That is insane.
Yeah.
Like, because when you hear military, you're thinking it's like, okay, just like discipline, don't take any substances. You should just be focused on what you're doing. But then there's so many things that can also distract you at the same time because and then you are only human. So
Yeah.
it's crazy for me
Yeah.
to
And I would suggest, like, for the military, it'd be interesting once, like, MDMA and psilocybin are legal, which is probably in the next 18 months, 2 years. And I know
yeah.
there's a lot of interest in veterans with those medicines for PTS, as example.
Totally.
But
Mhm,
it'd
mhm.
be interesting if the branches or the intelligence agencies start using this legally. I don't know what's going on illegally behind the scenes. Like, there has to be. I would imagine for institutional purposes, they have to be really careful,
Of course.
because it's one thing to have someone have a breakthrough on how they see the relationship between, like, non-state actors and their relationship to this and this and this around the globe. That's interesting. But what if they start changing their worldview? It's no longer aligned to that institution. But like, they're being and you're like, oh, all of a sudden I'm a pacifist because I recognize that violence is happening.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's
Plot twist.
oh,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
like in the military, that's insane. So like, I would imagine those institutions have to be a little bit mindful of how they
Totally.
might in the future let their members
Yeah,
use medicines.
Oh
that
my
is so
goodness.
true. Because like, yeah, Ali, what do you think?
Well, I have a friend, his name is Amir, and pretty much all he does is trip acid and does shrooms, and all he does is watch anime all day. So I don't think he's coming up with any mind-boggling, groundbreaking, revolutionary ideas, So
You
what's the
find
difference between that guy and, let's say, like, those geniuses you're talking about who are coming up with
well,
these brilliant
I would say
ideas? Yeah.
intent. You know,
Hmm.
I'm not one who I'm very conservative when it comes to medicine. Meaning,
Hmm.
I think it should be with a proper setting, with a good guide, with intentionality.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I'm politically, I'm pretty libertarian. So hey, do what you want to do. Don't use force or fraud against another human beings. You want to trip and watch anime? Okay, just don't force me to behave whatever you're doing. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And socially, I don't think that's the best idea. Like, you could probably use this a little more productive if you're light than tripping and watching anime. But hey, each their own, right? So that would be kind of my answer to that. It's like, okay, freedom and maybe more intentionality behind your medicine use for a
Hmm.
good purpose. Have it more of an impact in the world.
Can I ask you about other kinds of meds like ADHD meds, depression meds, anxiety meds? What are your thoughts on all those? I'm very conflicted on all of them, and I've heard people say that, yeah, it's helped me correct my life, but I've also heard people say that, oh, it feels like something extra, like it's not part of who I am. It's like juicing me, and the results I'm putting out, is it really because of me or is it because of these meds? So, and it causes some kind of
So I
internal
mean,
dilemma.
yeah,
Hmm.
I make a distinction between psychiatric meds, like for bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. Let's put those aside and just talk
Hmm.
about ADE.
Mhm.
and depression, if that's okay.
Mhm.
Um, so I always like to say, because I've talked about this, is this is not specific to any one person who's using the medicine and finding value. Like, if it's working for you, that's awesome.
Yeah.
This is more like a cultural critique, which is what I think I like you're asking for.
Right.
I think so. I there's a canned talk I give on ADD, and I lay out before you put your kids on ADD meds, think about these 9 things. I think there's 9 things, and I think this is important just in life in general. How are you eating? We know that diet and nutrition has a major effect on brain function.
Mhm.
How are you sleeping? One poor night increases your risk of diabetes. Imagine like months and months and months and months and months. That's how negative consequences on the neurology of the brain. Cool, including focus. So how are you sleeping? Cool, awesome. Your use of devices, like, are you on your phone all the time? The dopamine hit, it's like that depletes you and will cause you to
Yeah.
feel, for some, depressed and for others anxious. So like your screen time use. Are you isolating? Or are you socially engaging with other people? Like, if you're isolating, that we seem to be social creatures, and there's consequences to us isolating. And I'm not talking about an introvert who doesn't want to be around people all the time, but like, do you have people you can go to if you have trouble and have some fun and play and stuff like that? Is a question I'd ask. So like, are your kids able to do things, and can they? Because what I find is
Yeah.
co-regulation with other people is really important. If you're by yourself and you're just ruminating, that's not always helpful. So that's the second. That's another question I ask. I'm in nature. Like, I'm a Huberman fan, but I was saying this way before I learned about Huberman. It's like, are you connected to the 24-hour day-night lights? Like day-night light. It's like day-night light and dark cycle. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because if you are, that has an effect positively on your nervous system. And if you're not, because bright artificial lights late into the night, disrupting melatonin production, you don't sleep well. And I'm caffeinating first thing in the morning, and then I might crash like around 1 or 2, and I'm out of sync with the cycles of nature, like how God or nature designed us to be evolved over the last millions of years on this planet Earth. That's a question I ask, because most people, especially in the West, I would imagine also in England, and especially
Yeah.
here in the States, they're artificial everything just to keep themselves going. Whether it's exogenous chemicals to wake you up, exogenous chemicals to put you to sleep, and like I said, artificial light, which you work all night long and then disrupt your whole system. So that's also another thing too. And there's other things too, but I just find the most interesting one for me, for people with ADD as a possibility. I think that there's an evolutionary adaptive quality to have some people in the species get bored really easy and seek novelty. That's where evolution occurs, cultural and mental and emotional evolution. So
Yeah.
like, you don't want to drug that out of existence. And then, since I'll do one more, since we're talking about kids, I spend a good amount of time in the education space. Is like, yeah, a boy 8 years old sitting in a chair for 8 hours is not like what a child is designed to do, especially a boy. And girls can do this some up the same, but like, you're forcing kids who have a biological imperative at a certain stage of their development into a system which is counter to that biological imperative. Well,
Yeah.
no wonder they can't sit still. You're not supposed to sit still. They should be moving their physical body, doing things, as one example. So there's only a few of the things I would ask before I would recommend anyone talk to a psychiatrist or you have to go off or you get put on ADD meds.
Yeah.
Then I could get
That's
your question meds too, if you like.
well, that's a good amount of information now to process, and
It's
this
a lot
is
to
yeah, yeah. I feel like this is also the moment to like introduce our new segment. Maybe, Ali, what do you think? Is it time?
Sure. All
Should
right.
we?
Spin the
So
wheel.
we were doing. We gotta do spin the wheel. This is the first time on A to the show where we have a few prepared questions for you, Michael. We put them on the wheel.
Uh-oh.
Ali's now bringing up the wheel, as you can see. And
Wow.
let's see what we
Cool.
get.
Okay.
Let's see what's gonna happen right here today. All right.
This is
Wild
fun.
card.
What?
This is a wild card question. Then I'm
All
gonna
right,
leave
all right,
this
good.
Okay. Wait, maybe
Yes,
I can ask a
yes.
wild card
Okay, so
question.
of course. Do you want to ask it or should I?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to ask, how's your love life going? I know you work in marriage and family therapy. So how's your marriage and family going?
I'm single presently. I'm not dating
Gotcha.
intentionally.
Fair
So
enough.
like, there's no getting no like fun positive like oh yes or that.
Yeah.
I'm intentionally not dating at least until the rock finishes. I'm
Okay.
focused on two things. One is I have some built projects I'm launching for my business coaching space, which people are better interested. And then
Hmm.
also trying to go out. I'm like, that's enough of my that takes my energy and time. So no dating for a while.
Maybe
Oh
on
my
your
goodness.
50-mile run, you find someone along the way. So 50
I
miles
hope
is a
they
long way.
don't interrupt me.
He's like, you just unload a whole backpack of rocks in front of her. He's like, yeah, this is me. This is my baggage.
Yeah, I might have a little more baggage than that. But okay, that's just start. That's
A
Oh my
question
god.
about a question more diving deep
yeah.
into like love and marriage and
Yeah.
the people you've worked with before. All right. What are the benefits of being in a relationship versus the benefits of being single?
Yeah, so benefits definitely to being single, but being in a relationship, if you are coming from a place of being secure, centered, and clear on who you are, how you want to show up in the world, how you want to provide your gifts to the world, and not getting distracted from that. If you show up that kind of way, and then very loving, caring, compassionate, and limited body heart armor, relationships can be a great tool for a few different things. One for, and hysterical, least interesting to me, but I think it's still useful,
Hmm.
personal development. Because it's, I'm a strong, I've been a meditator. I encourage people to meditate. I've been doing 40 some years, whatever. And it's one thing, like if I'm meditating in my cave and, the bed in mountains, and which is hard, like being by yourself and, the sensory deprivation and all that stuff, like cool. But like, if you really want to see what's going on inside of you, be in a relationship, because that's where all your stuff gets triggered. Like, anything from your past, like from conception to birth to your childhood, where all the triggers get set up in the system, in the defense structures of your character. All of that comes out of a relationship. You're not going to necessarily see that if you're meditating by yourself in a cave. But you're with your partner, and he or she says something or gives you that look, or doesn't say something that you really want to hear, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's great opportunity for you to reflect on. Ooh, wait, this is a program from when I was 5 or 10 or whatever, wherever the program comes from, that's
Yeah.
limiting me in my life. So thank you, partner, for triggering me. So I have the ability to self-reflect on, oh, I have some growth to do. I have some determined to do. I have some issues I need to work on. So
Yeah.
I'll stop there. And I'll answer more, but at least for personal development, relationships can be a great tool. But that's not the most important thing. Any questions or comments on that for?
Yeah. I mean, something that I've realized when being in a relationship is like it teaches you more about vulnerability because like so something I've been learning a bit more is like women ask good questions, man. Like especially when on the emotional side, and
Nice,
like they really
nice.
pull it out of you. And if you're willing to like explore your emotional side, like you figure out things a bit more about yourself. And
Yes,
then obviously at the same time, like when you're with a partner, explore it's like when so this is something that I also noticed with me and Ali, because like we're partners here on the podcast. We bounce ideas off of each other, and although we have like similar aspects, we are also different people. So like some things that we there are things that we disagree about and things that we do agree about, and that's cool because like then you can make each other think about different things. Same thing with like obviously a partner in a relationship. It's you're bouncing ideas off of each other and also like providing new narratives or new outlooks for each other to explore if you're willing to be open about it.
I brilliantly said, and I think that's the key if you're willing to be open. So I find, yeah, Well, that exercise I do with clients for couples. It's called
Hmm.
rules, roles, and identities. And the
Yeah.
rule piece of it speaks to what you just talked about. We walk into relationships and we have our culture, we have our family of origin, we have our nationality, ethnicity, all these things kind of rolling into the relationship. And they
Hmm.
help inform how we engage with this other person. And they have their own stuff and helps in how they engage with us. And nothing wrong with religion, nationality, ethnicity, family of origin. But if you're not really conscious about those influences on you, then they're kind of driven unconsciously.
Yeah.
So I haven't exercised the rules part is I suggest that every relationship has many rules that guide it, kind of
Yeah.
guide us. But most of them are unconscious. It's not like we sat down and go, here's the rules that we're going to do our relationship. Now, there might be a few, like we're monogamous. Okay, that means we're not going to see other people. Okay, that's a clear rule. But like most of the others are like, well, I'll just use you. I'll make this up for you. So like you're talking to your partner and she says to you X, Y, or Z, and she gives you that her tone is a particular tone. And you read
Yeah.
into her tone, meaning, oh, I said something I shouldn't have said. And it teaches you, and I'm making this up because I don't know you, but like it teaches you to say, oh, I better not talk about that way with her. Like I see how she reacts to that.
Yeah.
Or you say something, she gives you a look. She doesn't even speak to you. She just gives you a look, and you're like, okay, I better not talk about that either. So, like, then there become things we don't talk about, or things we can talk about and only put very limited ways. And the
Hmm.
exercise is great because it speaks exactly what you just said. Like, okay, let's not do that. Let's uncover these unconscious rules. Let's look at them and see if they serve the relationship. And I'll give you an example of a couple I work with. They got together when they were 19, I think it was, uh, 20. I was looking at them, they were 30. So they've been together for a while. And when they first got together, the boyfriend, because they weren't married yet, was very insecure. So like
Hmm.
she would talk to some guys in a friendly way, nothing like obnoxious. And he would give her a tone, or he would
Oh.
shut down, he wouldn't talk to her for a little while. He wouldn't say to her, I just want to know I'm really insecure when you're talking to particular men. And it's
Yeah.
something I'm aware of in myself and I want to work on. You don't have to do most do that. I was 20, 30, 40-year-old men aren't going to do that. But if he had said that, that's a different dynamic. What he does is he shuts down, or I think he shut down mostly. And she learned from that, oh, I better not talk to these guys, these particular men, because I
Hmm.
see how he responds. I don't want my boyfriend to shut down because it's really uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
And he's later when working, we uncovered that rule, and they're like, he's no longer insecure, but she still has the unconscious belief that there's some people she shouldn't talk to because the way he reacts. But he hasn't done
Yeah.
it forever, but it's still ingrained in her mind. So we uncovered that rule, broke it apart, and created a new one. Because he's like, I don't care who you talk to. Like, I'm insecure enough of myself. I have no fear about who you talk to. I did 10 years ago. But so a new
Hmm.
rule emerged. And the rule is like, hey, talk to whomever you want to talk to. I have faith in you, and I'm secure in myself. But it speaks to like, you actually have to agree. Like, wait, or we wanted to have an agreement about the fullness of what we can talk about. Full, because most people don't and can't for various reasons.
Yeah. That is true. Ali, what do you think about
Oh,
communication and the trust that's built
that's a
through that?
really cool. I never thought about that before, and I think that affects people in long-term relationships too, right? Because each individual is evolving, and the relationship's evolving too, and so you want to always reflect on where we're at now, and not always, get stuck in the past. Yeah. Um.
You're right on, Alan. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. So, what do you think is the most important part of being in a relationship?
Most important part, like what makes it flourish.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So I would say some general agreements that are verbalized and open and discussed. And one would be that friendship is the basis of a relationship. And
Mm.
part of the friendship definitions, I think definitions are really important, is I want the best for you and I know you want the best for me. And that's the part of the basis of this relationship, which might mean, and we talk through this, if I see you doing something which I think is destructive to you, to your health, well-being, whatever it happens to be, even minimally destructive, or something destructive to the relationship, I care for you enough that I'm going to call you out on what I know you agreed to, 'cause you have to agree to it, is the standards you want to live by.
Okay.
And, I think that's really, really important. So friendship, and then agreements around, like, a part of the friendship thing is like agreements around, I want the best for you, you want the best for me. And part of that too is like, hey, I might not do such a great job on occasions and expressing what's going on for me. And you could read it into it being that, oh, I don't want the best for you. I'm just a selfish prick or a dick or a bitch, whatever interpretation would be. But coming to that, I'll have bad days. I will express myself really poorly. I will be frustrated. I need a Snickers bar because, like, I'm a crazy freak, whatever's going on, because I love blood sugar, whatever. But if you have the general sense, like, I want the best for you, and I'm going to show it the best is that I can, and even if I F up, is not the end of the world, that's a good basis for the relationship. Two, so that way you don't have to walk around, even if you get triggered, you can realize, like, listen, the trigger's me, it has nothing to do with them. I can work on me, the trigger I can work on. But, like, they know the best for me. I don't have to read really bad things into their behavior. Unless like the behavior is destructive. Like if they're out using drugs or alcohol or physically abusive, that's completely different. But generally speaking, like, their behavior is in line with the standards that I have for myself and each other. Are we live into this vision of how we can relate with one another? And part of that is that friendship model. And caring and for the other person to grow up in well-being. Also out there's more, but I don't want to do it. Down hearing
That's a
people
nice one.
monologue.
No, exactly.
No,
That's a
those are
nice one
really good
too.
points.
Learning. Yeah, exactly. You have to be friends with the people you're spending time with. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
For me, it's something that I think a key skill that is important, and based off what I'm understanding from you and from personal experience, it really revolves around like communication with each other, like
Yeah.
being able to express yourself, being able to talk to each other, being able to tell the other, it's like, look, this is how I'm feeling. Um, what is your response? And based off of their response, because in the end, actions, it's a cliche term to use, but it's true. Like, actions speak louder than words. So when you are expressing yourself, and your partner will have a reaction. So based off of the reaction, you can kind of like analyze how this person, like, what kind of relationship you guys have with each other, and if you can trust them or not. Because when you talk about it, it brings out what the other person is actually feeling as well. And you kind of want to do that so that you can build that trust and then have that faith in each other. Like you were saying, it's like, oh, I'm looking out for the best in you, you're looking out the best in me, based off of the response.
And the way I'd kind of articulate what you just said in a slightly different way, but I completely agree with you, is reality-based relationships. Like, if I withhold how I feel, what I'm thinking, then you're not, like, let's see our relationship, then you're not able to.
Oh, wow.
I just broke my non-dating date for 3 months.
That was quick. It only took us 20 minutes.
I'm too easy. Get it.
What you were saying, Mike? Yeah, you were saying.
Oh man, I just lost my train of thought too. What the hell was I saying?
You guys are in a relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, but I was going to make a point about something. I was kind of saying what
You were
said.
articulating. You were trying to articulate
You're
what I
saying.
was saying about communication and trust building.
Okay, reality-based partnerships. That's what I'm sorry,
Yes,
man. You got this
exactly.
this falling to it. So if I withhold and don't show what I think and feel, you can't base any decisions on reality.
Yeah.
So we're living in two different worlds. If I share openly, like, hey, this is what I think, this is what I feel, this is my worldview, my perspective, my challenges, hardship and feels, whatever I'm on, even if it sucks for you to hear, at least you know my reality at that very moment. And then
Yeah.
you can act accordingly. So we're both in the same world. And I think that's really important. A lot of us have a challenge to share the truth, because we're for whatever reason, especially, and a colleague and I are launching a men's group. I can talk about that if you like, but it's around resilience. And one of the pieces of it is on emotional resilience. And
Okay.
emotional resilience and interpersonal resilience. And a part of it is, how can I sit in my own experience when I'm feeling, sensing, thinking, intuiting, whatever is going on for me, as uncomfortable as that is, can I sit with that, and can I sit with that for longer periods of time before I need to distract myself with like porn or Netflix or games or drugs or alcohol, whatever people do to distract themselves from their own experience. Well, then a lot of people do stuff to distract themselves. Like,
Mhm.
can I sit in that? And then now, how do I learn to express that to another person, my partner in this case? That's really hard, especially for men. It's not always easy for women too, because they're not always feeling safe to do so. And then how can I, as a man, if I'm in a heterosexual relationship, hold the space for my partner? Let's just say I have females who say this, so I'm comfortable saying this out loud. Like, women are messy. The feminine is messy. As the emotions shift and change and all over the place. But cool. How can men sit with the uncomfortable feelings they might have when their partner's in a chaotic space?
Yeah.
Because most men want to fix their partner.
Mhm.
So but
Yeah.
is fixing a partner for the partner or for them? Like, am I wanting to fix you because I'm uncomfortable with your messiness? Then that's about me. It's not about them. So, like, how can I learn to sit with and be with and hold the space for a messy partner, a partner who's kind of in that feminine, messy, chaotic space, or whatever's going on in the world? There's a lot of it's a VUCA environment. Like, there's a lot of challenges we're facing, and they're
Yeah.
probably getting worse. I mean, how can I find the equanimity in me so I can sit and hold the space at where you're all around in the chaos, that I don't get triggered, I don't get reactive, I can stay with very heartfelt, caring, compassion, love, and equanimity space.
Yeah.
So I think that's also important too.
So I have a comment and then a question to make right now. Um, the comment is, so based of like my observations and just like outlook on how heterosexual relationships kind of work. I feel like men and women kind of can learn from each other in a sense that men are always fixated on like learning discipline and being, stoic and just like working hard and stuff like, and then women are like they're better at the emotional aspect than men. So in a partnership, they can teach each other these skills and then like find a balance for each individual. So if a man becomes a bit more understanding of his emotions through his partner, he can become a bit more balanced with the discipline and the emotional side, which probably puts him at his best potential. And the same applies to the woman as well. If she learns discipline with her emotional awareness as well, with that balance for each person, then they become just like much better individual. Like um, they achieve like the better potential, I would say. So that's for the
Yeah.
comment. And sorry, I just wanted, and then I wanted the follow up question would be just like I wanted to ask about the men's group that you mentioned.
Thank you. So, a colleague of mine, J.C. Glick, he's a former U.S. Army Ranger.
Hmm.
He's written quite a few books, and has a new book coming out on resilience. And he and I are launching here in a couple of weeks, at the end of
Yeah.
March, a 6-month program for men. It's a small number of men, and it's on resilience. And it looks at what we're saying is like resilience reimagined or resilience optimized. It's coming from 1.0 to 2.0. And the 1.0 is very much what you just said, actually. It's like, I don't know if you know who Dr. Wellnick is. And depiction of his watch at 4:30 in the morning. He's at the gym, and or they're like David Goggins going like 100
Mhm.
miles before breakfast every day.
Yeah.
All that stuff is great. That feel motivate you and get you out of bed, start training really hard, and feeling good about yourself. That's awesome. But that's like part one. Like, that's important to have that kind of discipline. Discipline equals freedom, or discipline over motivation, as David Goggins might talk about. Awesome. But we want to take it to the next level, because that's the start. The next level is, as I kind of showed you before, the emotion resilience, the mental resilience, the spiritual resilience, the enriching resilience. Like, cool that you can carry heavy things long distances, or run 1 million miles, or get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and your weight lift. Awesome. But can you actually sit? And I've already just shared this with you. Can you sit in your own experience without getting distracted? That's, for many people, much harder than doing the run up the hill or the heavy weights or whatever it is. Can I sit in the uncomfortable feelings when my partner is in their messy space? Okay,
Mhm.
that's really hard because I want to fix them, or I want to get distracted because I don't feel comfortable with what's going on to them,
Yeah.
or the culture. Like, we're having cultural issues in our
Mhm.
world today, and
Mhm.
it's a VUCA environment. And can I sit with equanimity, carrying compassion hard, but being frontside focused and getting my work accomplished when there's so much craziness going on around us, you know? And then ask the question, like, okay, we're creating more resilience in our system. We're creating more resilience interpersonally. And that's what we're working on with these men. What kind of impact can they have going forward? So it's not just about them navel gazing and feeling good about themselves. I'm much more resilient. Cool, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But like, okay, what are you doing with that? How are you affecting your family? How are you affecting your community? How are you going to work and showing up differently? That's the question what we asked. It's not just, like I said, navel gazing, like, cool. Like, the impact you have around the world around you. And we need more men, we believe, who have that equanimity, have that caring, compassionate, loving heart, who are strong and powerful, can hold the space and show up to their spouses and their kids and the communities, and have the impact that we just talked about.
Wow. Oof. That is some good insight right there. Ali,
Cool.
what are your thoughts on what we just
Yeah.
discussed?
Um. Yeah.
I feel
It's
like
very
you're
interesting because
feeling the spinny feel.
no, it's interesting because I'm just thinking about, why does this particularly relate to men specifically as opposed to, everyone. However, I do notice that men generally can be a lot more aggressive, and a lot of the violence I see in the world is mostly because of men. Um, you know, and I wish
Right.
we could be a lot more calmer and peace loving. And so I love what you're doing. And
Thank you.
I would love to see everyone go through this kind of mental coaching. I think everyone needs to learn, from a mentor or a coach. Um, and the same with you, right? You were saying that even you need someone to coach you, right? To help you get
Yeah.
to stay on the right path. So what are your thoughts on like coaching and mentorship? Um,
Yeah.
why is that
So,
important?
just background sake, I'm trained as a managing company therapist,
Mm-hmm.
postgraduate work in somatic psychology. I got certified as a coach at NYU. Been doing this for almost 30 years. So I have a background in this stuff. I don't speak from lack of experience.
Yeah.
Um, I, I'm pretty libertarian, so like I don't want the state coming in and saying, "Oh, we need to regulate coaches." Okay, but I will
Mm-hmm.
say that there's a lot of coaches out there. I'm in Austin, Texas. Everyone's a coach or a shaman. Um,
Mm-hmm.
happy hour. Like, be careful who you hire if you want to hire a coach or even a therapist, right? Because just because they have the name by the title by their name doesn't mean they're really good at what they do. I just want to put that out there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Including myself. If you ever want to work with me, cool, but make sure it's a good fit for you and that my qualifications and training and experience fit what you need. All right, so I think coaching or therapy or mentorship is really good for anyone and everyone for the most part, because we all have blind spots. We all have cultural conditioning. We all have programming from our childhood origin, family origin time. And you mentioned like, hey, you're a coach. You get coached. Like, yeah, I had a coaching session this morning and with a different coach 2 nights ago. So I have like a
Mm-hmm.
little team of mine that helps me with various aspects of my life to
Interesting.
challenge me, to
Mm-hmm.
point out blind spots, to keep me on my path. A phrase I love to use is eat my own dog food. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying something, I should do what I'm saying.
Okay.
And I have colleagues and coaches. I have colleagues and friends who are coaches, but I also have coaches who like kick my ass. kick me in the nuts. Like, hey, you said this, but you're not doing that. What the hell's going on? But shit, I need to course correct. Like, I need to be, front side focused and living out my values and standards and stuff. So coaches can be helpful for a lot of that stuff. And therapists, it's a different category. It was like childhood organ traumas, mental illness is, different than coaches. Those are kind of two categories of helpers out there. And
Yeah.
then mentor is different. A mentor is, I would imagine, a mentor would be someone in your field who's way ahead of you, who helps you kind of guide you, not to say exactly what they did, because what they did worked for them and not necessarily for you, but like to show you guideposts along the way that things you might serve you as you kind of try to flourish and grow your own career path. I would imagine that's more of a mentorship than a coach and a therapist. So.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds so necessary nowadays. And I found it interesting too how you have different coaches that help you with different aspects of your life. That's a really cool insight. And that even you have it, and you've come a long way in your own personal development. So, I think most everyone needs one, but don't regulate it because we don't like regulation. But
I had
but
not
it's
to
suggested.
but
It's suggested. Yeah, exactly. I want to know more about somatic psychology. What exactly is that?
all right. So, Ali, how's your breathing right now? How are you breathing right now?
Pretty good. Just
What's that mean for you?
I'm conscious about it. Um,
Okay.
yeah, deep breath from, not necessarily too deep, but yeah, exactly. I feel good. I don't feel out of
So
breath. I don't, yeah.
now when you breathe, you notice that you're a chest breather or a deep abdominal breather? Like, where does the breath come from when you exhale? Like, when you inhale and move your lungs away, or your chest away from the spine, stomach away from the spine, is it like fully extend? Is it up here? Is it down here? Like, what do you notice?
Yeah, maybe like over here.
So if we were working together, I'd actually take your jacket off so I could see you more clearly, but it
Mhm.
really watch what you're doing. But one way to think about somatic psychology is me helping you become more aware of how you do your body, how you live inside your body. One of the pieces of that is breath. Breath is amazing because it's the intersection between the unconscious and the conscious. We did, and it gives you valuable information. Like, some people hold their breath when they're scared, anxious, nervous. And a lot of people walk around anxious, scared, and nervous. They're holding their breath all the time. And I say hold their breath, I mean like they'll hold their breath and they'll breathe a little bit. And there might be chest breathers, for example. If you're a chest breather and we're holding your breath and being a chest breather, you're not getting the amount of oxygen your body actually needs. So you're actually contributing to sympathetic activation. You're making yourself even more nervous. So you're nervous about whatever the restricting the mind's going on, and you're contributing to it by holding your breath or restricting your breathing stuff up here. So the way that I teach you, like, I'm not saying you, I can't say exactly what you're doing, but like, you notice that you're chest breather in the whole.
Well,
I'm working.
how about we actually run the experiment? I'll take off my jacket and
Okay,
maybe you can run it on me. Let's go.
cool, awesome.
For the listeners, on Spotify and whatever other platform you guys are on, Saeed is taking off his jacket and running an experiment with Michael, and it's a breathing one.
Yes, what I'd ask you is look at your right hand and put it on your heart.
Hand on heart.
Yeah.
There we go.
On your
Oh,
heart.
say no. Okay.
Awesome. And then take your left hand open.
All right.
So your left hand
There
is
we
on your
go.
belly.
It's on my ab. Should I stand up so you can see? Or can you see?
Sure.
All right, let's go.
Okay. So what I ask you to do is,
What should chair?
Okay.
All right.
okay, I've just asked you to just breathe what you would consider naturally. And if you could actually fix your shirt, just so I could see a little bit better, because it's kind of
Fair
crinkly.
enough. It's a big shirt. It's oversized.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, like, take some deep, slow inhales and some nice exhales. And just as a warning, this is not necessarily for you, but for some people, when they start breathing more fully, because they're not used to the oxygen, the amount of oxygen you might be getting, they will get dizzy. So if you actually get dizzy, sit back down I'm not saying you will, but just as kind of a warning. And don't do this while you're driving a vehicle. So like, so when you inhale, do you feel your right hand, which is on your left, your right hand, which is on your belly, extending away through your tongue?
So
And
what
when
I
you,
notice is I think my chest and my abdomen kind of push out at the same time, but a little bit.
okay,
And if I focus a bit more, my abdomen just pushes out way more than my chest.
okay. So that's good. So what I'd like you to do is, if you want to, as a practice, like literally do this for a couple minutes every day. Start noticing, like, am I fully breathing the full capacity of my lungs, not only the chest, but also the belly. So you repeat to yourself by doing this, because the hand on the heart, you can feel the chest, hand on your belly, feel the belly. And you should be extending away from the spine when you inhale,
Mm-hmm.
and then pulling it back towards the spine when you exhale. Kind of nice rhythm.
Okay.
The breath practice I like for general practices is a 5 count inhale. So you kind of 5 count exhale, 5 count inhale, 5 count exhale. And you just practice that. And then you see how you feel. And most likely, I can't speak to you guys, but most likely
Yeah.
you'll feel calmer, cooler, more collective. Because what it does is if you are hyper aroused, it relaxes the system a little bit. And when the system is more relaxed, calmer, cooler, collective, you actually have more access to the prefrontal cortex, so you can think more clearly. You're all stressed out, even you don't think very well, and we do dumb shit, right?
Yeah.
But like this allows us to kind of get centered. And then throughout the day, like I would have clients like track themselves, like have a little something device that just rings or reminds them to check in and check in. What are you doing with the breath? And most people are like, oh my God, I hold my breath almost all day long. And I don't literally, because then you pass out and just remember you did. But like, like holding your breath through stress, going to breathe through stress. And as I said earlier, if you're just doing that, you're increasing your stress levels, which has a whole bunch of secondary consequences for health and psychiatric well-being. So being aware of like, oh, this is what I do on a daily basis, and then I do this practice to shift is one example, because you asked about somatic psychology, of learning to be inside of one's body. Like, how am I breathing? And then how I can manage my breath towards different ends. So, calm, cool, collective. That's the one example of a million. I could give another or two if you'd like, what somatic psychology is.
Yeah, so I have a question on the breathing aspect. So like something that I noticed as well is when I'm breathing through the abdomen, at a certain point, like maybe on the third, like between 3 and 4 seconds, I feel a bit of tightness around the bottom of my ribs, and then also like on my throat. It's kind of like there's a bit of tightness there.
So you'd be a great client because I appreciate your self-awareness. No, seriously, like just being aware of that is huge. Because most people, when I work with them at the very beginning, I'll ask these kind of questions, and there's very little awareness of what's going on inside the body.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, here, if I was working with you somatically over time, and this I wouldn't necessarily do this the minute we just finish this exercise, but I just start having to become more aware of this region, including the jaws, and noticing, especially in conversations with another human being, either that we just having this intense conversation about something, or a romantic partner or a parent, something important to you. Started noticing like, oh, does this part of my body clench, get tighter?
Yes.
Okay. Which might mean that there's things I want to say, but I'm afraid to say them. So my body unconsciously goes, I'm going to shut down to protect myself from real perceived
Oh
threats.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because I do believe that is true for me. Like maybe there are some things I don't want to say. Maybe you're just like I just want to keep to myself. So in the moment, like I'm learning how to like let it out more.
Nice.
So maybe that's why it's becoming a bit more less tight and less restrictive. Does it also connect to the shoulders at any point, or like because like I also have something. I have even a knot in one of my shoulder blades.
So yes, it connects to the whole body. You think about this, like, sperm get together and then combust to print you as a grown bolt, right? Eventually.
We're starting from the beginning, yes. No, I was saying it was like we're starting from the beginning. It was like when I was conceived as an idea.
The accurate conception when the egg is in your mom, who's in your mom's mom.
no need to go back there.
My only point is like, as you complexify, you become multi-cellular organisms, multi-organ organisms,
Mm,
complex brains and such, and complex nervous system. Everything started out connected and remains connected. Energetically and biochemically, everything's connected. So like you can find like an amazing body worker, for instance,
mm,
and to work on,
yeah.
like you have a back issue and they're working on your feet. Are you working on my feet to fix your back issue? Referral. Well, I'm making that up, but like,
Referral.
really good to see that everything is connected to everything else.
Yeah.
And when you might have an issue in one place, is actually referral to something else that needs to be dealt with. And you can look at Chinese medicine, for example. Like in Chinese medicine, I'll make this up because I don't know. Like studied you to know this for a fact. I would just make this up. Like you have you have tightness here.
Yeah.
The Chinese medical system, they might do an analysis and assessment of you and say something like, "Oh, that is a referral point meridian that goes down to your kidneys,
By the
which
way, for the
has to
listeners,
do."
he's pointing at the back of his neck between his shoulder blades. Yes.
What was that?
I was just saying for whoever's listening and can't see
Oh,
the
okay.
camera, you're pointing at where exactly? Like it's
Well, I
between
was
his
just saying,
shoulder.
like, I don't know where exactly your point is, but for instance, like I was just saying in Chinese medicine, someone might look at that and say, "Oh, it's," because you can go to a physical therapist and they can, or a massage therapist, and they might help you work out the muscle and the fascia, which is great.
Yeah.
You might go to a Chinese medicine practitioner and they go, "Oh, that's actually your kidneys or your liver or
Oh.
your lung meridian. Let's work on the kidneys, lung, gallbladder, lung, whatever the connecting point is in the system. We work on this, it fixes this. Totally different paradigm. The point
Yeah.
is that it's all connected and different systems look at it different.
Damn, that's so fucking interesting.
Yeah.
Kidney is connected to the shoulders, and then like the throat is tightening because like I just want to speak.
Maybe. I mean, these are questions that I would ask. I don't want to make universals like this is exactly that
Yeah.
and this is exactly that. If we were looking together like as an inquiry, as a possibility, let's explore this. Let's pretend like it's true for now, and then we go explore it.
Well, I'm already feeling my throat loosening up a bit more, so I
Well,
guess
but
it's I'm not making this up. It's like it was much tighter before I said it, but now after saying it, and I'm just like saying what's on my mind. Now I'm doing the breathing technique as you're speaking, and I'm just like, whoa, this is actually a bit more loose. It feels good.
good job. See, and I'll give you an exercise too that you can take home with you. To continue to work on this,
Yeah.
AEIOU, the language, the letters. If you chant
A-E-I-O-U.
them, like and you chant it and you say it as long as you can.
Yeah.
The UL letters, if you chant it as long as you can, and each time you do it as an exercise once a day, you keep extending the amount of time that you're capable of. Yeah, but do each one until the end, and then the next one, the next one. I do that as an exercise for folks who find tightness here, because the vibration of it loosens it up and relaxes the system here, and then it makes it more likely that whatever you're trying to block is less blocked, because it's relaxed, and you're able to speak more of your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's just like one fun exercise that I've had clients do over the years.
Wow.
That's actually really good. I'm gonna write this down. Valley, you can
Yes.
take over now.
The body really connects to the psychology. I've come to
It's
find out.
amazing,
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly. Can I ask you about martial arts and the benefits of martial arts on the psychology?
Yeah, so I love the martial arts. I've been studying
Mhm.
since I was 9, long time ago. I studied about 8 different martial arts, and I would say them like for kids especially. I'd make a distinction. So for kids, especially in our culture where immediate gratification is so important,
Mhm.
and Instagram and whatever else kids are involved in, it's like to have a daily practice is really good. Having daily physical practice is really good. To cultivate character traits like discipline and even compassion. So compassion in martial arts, front sight focus, offensive mindset. Some of the various things that you could develop in the martial arts at basic levels is really important for kids, because I've noticed a lot of kids have no discipline. They have no focus. they lack a lot of character traits that I think are really important for adults to have. If they don't have the kids, you might have adults. And a lot of the martial arts, depending on who the instructor is or the tradition, can help provide a lot of the character traits which I think are important to not only survive but thrive in the world. And that's even independent of learning how to defend yourself. That's awesome too. But this is just like discipline, structure, practice, and then the learning how to defend yourself is a good thing too, because never know, you might need to protect yourself, your spouse, your family members or friends, whomever. So on the self defense side, it's really important. But just on character development, I think it can be really, really important. And that's what I like. I've done a lot of the Eastern martial arts, which I'm much more attracted to, because of the traditions, like the Bushido, the Japanese tradition, as an example. And I recently started training with a gentleman in Jiu-Jitsu, ninja tradition. Not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the real. And we're actually working on higher order of the martial arts. So it's not about I can protect myself, I can do throws and punches and elbows, fight 3 or 4 different people. What he's helping me with is kind of higher order. Like, my Fudishin is the name of my team. Fudishin is a Japanese term. That's what he teaches you, equanimity from the heart. So you're operating from love and compassion from the soul, if you want to look at it. You're centered. You're not acting out of emotions. So I'm not acting out of anger. Because if I'm acting out of anger or any other of the emotions, that is like a base thing. If I'm operating from this higher place where I'm not moved from these emotional places, but I'm moved from like, if you want to look at Buddhist, the Bodhisattva vow, love all sentient beings, and sometimes violence is necessary to protect sentient beings. Cool. You also use that tradition as an example. It's like, I'm operating from a higher place. And you have to be really mindful. It's really talking about this. Like, oh, is this coming from wounding? And I need to protect for these various things. I'm afraid, which is fine. It works for that. It works for your shit. Cool. But ultimately, you want to operate from this higher order place, this more spiritual place, the equanimity, the fruition.
Very interesting.
Wow, great example. Saeed, what do we think about all this? What have you learned?
I mean, I learned a lot mentally, physically, breathing, physiologically. I feel like a lot of changes have already been made. I'm going to be practicing that.
Awesome. Let me know, like, if you guys continue to do the breath practice, for example.
Yeah.
Or you decide to do the AEIOU chanting. I'd love to hear, like, if it's working for you, how it's working for you, what you're learning about yourself.
Sounds
stay in
good.
touch.
Definitely,
Perfect.
definitely. I do
Cool.
have one last question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
We still got
Yeah.
we still got a little bit of time. Just want to ask. This is like the final send-off question. So, if you were facing dementia, what are the 3 memories that you would hold on to the very end?
Wow. That's a great question. Holy moly. I love that. So the 3, like, I can sit and think about it. The 3 that come to my mind. One is a conversation I had with my father in the parking lot when I was 24. And it shifted our whole relationship. It went from being my father to being my friend.
Yeah.
And that was just an amazing conversation in California in the parking lot. I remember that. That's one. I have a memory of my mom walking into a room, making funny faces and making me really smile. She was dancing and making funny faces. So that's another one that makes my heart warm. And then I lost one of our dogs a couple of years ago, and Cleota the bulldog. She was my favorite. And I have a memory of her walking into the bedroom. I was sitting there working and turning over and just checking on her to make sure I was okay, seeing that I was okay, and then walking out. And that's burned into my mind. Like, oh my God, that's so cool. So those immediate 3 things come to mind: my father, my mom, my talk. Yeah.
I can see a lot
Great
of like
question.
the family aspect there as well in
Yeah.
that answer. Well, guys, this has been another episode on A to the Show. But before we sign out, Michael, where can everyone find you? Where can everyone connect with you?
Yeah, thank you. Michael, Michael, the letter D as in David, Osterlenk, OSTROLENK.com. My website, all of most of my offerings. And then the men's group that I referenced earlier is resilienceoptimize.com. And then I'm on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn. Twitter and Instagram are Osterlenk.
Yeah, that's great, man. And good luck with your 50-mile run.
Thank you.
Good luck
Yeah.
with that baggage.
That's so
And
cool.
this is where we end.
And my future girlfriend under me on the rock. I love that.
Exactly, man. This is how we sign out. We salute to cover the camera and out.
Ciao. We did it. And we're out.